I just finished watching Iron Man 2, and while I was watching it, I realized that this movie is actually extremely underrated. From the pacing to the CGI to the character work, this movie went by incredibly fast, and I had a blast watching this movie. Honestly, the only real complaint I have with this movie is Whiplash as a villain. He doesn't really work like he doesn't really feel like a threat. Like Obadiah Stane, who's a 60-year-old geezer, felt more like a threat in Iron Man 1 than Whiplash did. And I think the reason for that is because he doesn't get a whole lot of time actually being a threat in this movie. Whiplash gets the scene where he cuts cars in half, and that's cool, but right when Tony gets in his Iron Man suit, he shuts him down immediately, whoops his ass, and we don't see Whiplash in a type of suit like that until the end of the movie, where he loses again 30 seconds after he shows up, right? So I do think the idea was there, but the execution of Whiplash just wasn't that good. And the reason why I think that the idea was there is because the connection with him and Tony, where Tony's dad got his dad deported, and if that didn't happen, then Ivan would be in the situation that Tony's in, and his motivations where he wants to take down Stark because of that works for me, but they just didn't execute on it very well. But let's move on to what I do like about the movie and why I think it's underrated as a Marvel movie and as a movie in general. First off, the CGI in this movie stays true to Iron Man 1, and you can tell that they put genuine care into this film for the most part, other than that one scene with Ivan at the end, or any scene with Ivan at the end where his helmet's off, because he looks like Hulk, well, Bruce Banner, in the Hulkbuster suit in Infinity War, and it just looks weird. But other than that, you can tell that they put true care into this movie, and it looks great. And even that small hiccup, it was 2010, so I'm gonna let it slide. It makes more sense for it to be in a movie that came out in 2010 than in Infinity War. But the part where the CGI shines for me the most, and the scene where the fight choreography also shined the most, is when Tony fights Rhodey for custody of the Mark II suit. I loved this part of the movie so much. I think it's better than the final battle because it works so well. And seeing the Iron Man suits fighting in a close quarters area like his house, and then just having them throwing weights at each other and swinging it like a baseball bat and throwing one-liners at each other is just so peak. And in the opening scene with him flying in, it's great, right? And the close-ups, there's a lot of close-ups even in the final battle where it shows the suits, and it just works so well. But moving on to the pacing of the movie, I think this is another area where it improves from Iron Man 1. And Iron Man 1's pacing was really good, but in this movie, they have a lot more side plots, whereas with Iron Man 1, they focus more on, like, the main story, right? And it just moves, like, together, right? Like, it just moves in one linear line of one story. Whereas in this movie, there's a lot of side plots, and they did a really good job at taking those side plots and making it a perfect puzzle that all fits together and it works, right? Unlike some new movies where it doesn't work and some things are left unresolved, I thought that they did a really good job at resolving every single side plot with, but like some of them, for example, Tony dying, and that isn't really like a subplot. It's kind of like the whole thing, but like his alcoholism and being reckless, Shield, Pepper becomes CEO. Then like those are just a couple things where it's like they all come together at the end, and it works really well in my opinion. But another thing with this pacing is that it just like keeps going, right? I was at like the hour mark of this movie, and I thought I was like 25 minutes in. And then I checked, and I was like, holy shit, it's been an hour. I was having so much fun, and I just really liked watching this movie, and everything felt like it had substance and that it wasn't just like filler. Because, like, when you're watching some new Marvel movies and you're like, okay, that doesn't matter at all. There's a lot of things like with even like the Fantastic Four movies and Thunderbolts, like there's some things in those movies where it's like, if you just got rid of this, like, it wouldn't matter. In this movie, it feels like every single scene that's shown on screen just enhances the story and it works really well. So I really liked that. Like I mentioned before with Shield and the Shield subplot, they do a really good job with Shield and specifically Black Widow in this movie. If you're looking for a Marvel movie where Black Widow shines, don't watch her own movie. Watch this one because even though she doesn't have a whole lot of action, I think that this is like one of the best portrayals of her outside of the Winter Soldier because in new movies, let's face it, they kind of nerf her. Like she's supposed to in this movie, she takes out a whole hallway of like armed security guards by herself. And in the newer movies, she can barely fight one person without like needing help, right? So I found that they nerfed Black Widow a lot in and like made her a weaker character in the newer movies. But they do set up Avengers well in this movie again, as they use Shield once again. Before in Iron Man 1, Shield was kind of something that was there, right? They were hinting at it. But here, they actually talk about it. Like, they talk about the Avengers Initiative. They say that Tony Stark isn't fit for it, but Iron Man is. And, you know, they have that. But they also mention that Nick Fury knew his dad, right? So that just sets up like that Howard was also working for Shield. Shield's been a thing for a long time, and it's not just like the government, right? Right, like Shield has been around. He knew his dad, and Nick Fury is kind of like the catalyst for Tony as he like gives him like the stuff to discover the new element or rediscover the element that his dad had, but he couldn't make because he was limited by his time, right? So I really like that. And last thing that I want to talk about is the way that Marvel writes Iron Man / Tony Stark. But also like Robert Downey Jr.'s performance also helps with that as he shines in this movie and every appearance he makes as Iron Man, even if it's a 30-second cameo, he's always great. So, but I think that Iron Man is one of the best written characters in all of superhero media. And I mean, Spider-Man's also up there. But I just think that they really like get Iron Man. Like they understand, and you know, shocker that the company that made the character would understand the character. But there's a lot of that doesn't happen, right? There's a lot of movies that are made where the character doesn't fit what they're supposed to be in many different ways. So, and I think that they just do a great job, and Robert Downey Jr. enhances that writing all the time. And I like that they go more into his alcoholism in this movie because of the fact that he's dying, but because like in the comics, Iron Man's an alcoholic, right? So I like that they do that, and they go more into his cocky and destructive behavior than they did in Iron Man 1, and they had a lot of that in Iron Man 1, but in this, it's even more because he's more careless, right? Because he's gonna die. So I just think that their idea of having him die, and because of that, his alcoholism and his destructive tendencies appear even more, just fits the character so well. Oh, another thing too. When I finished the movie, I watched the post-credit scene, which I didn't really have to because it's setting up a movie that I already watched, but in Thor 1. But they did mention like that they had to, like Nick Fury mentioned that he had to handle something, and then in the post-credit scene, that something was Thor's hammer, and that post-credit scene is so hype. Like it's literally just like Coulson shows up and he's just like, I found it, and then it goes over to Mjolnir, but like that's so peak. And like they don't really do post-credit scenes like that anymore. Like Fantastic Four's post-credit scene was sort of like it, where you see Doom and you're like, oh my god, right? But like for a while there, they were kind of missing the magic on their post-credit scenes. So seeing something like that was really cool. Overall, I loved watching this movie. And even though I do agree with the opinion that it's the worst Iron Man movie, I don't agree with the people that are putting it in contention for the worst Marvel movie. Even like for the Marvel movies that came out around the same time, I don't think that it's that bad. Like I even went on and looked at some of the reviews because it's the lowest rated Iron Man movie. And one person said that they were falling asleep watching the movie. And I think that the reason why is because people come into this expecting an action-packed superhero movie because it's a superhero movie. But this movie is more like setting up and building more of the character and building his relationship with Pepper for the future and Rhodey for the future, and like more enhancing the character instead of it just being spammed with action, right? So, if you're expecting an action-packed superhero movie, even though like there is a decent amount of action, but it's not a lot. So if you're expecting an action-packed superhero movie, this isn't the movie for you. But I think if you're coming in and you're looking for a movie that will actually give you an idea of the type of characters that are in the world and what they like, if you're not familiar with the character of Iron Man, this is a great movie to watch, right? Like, it honestly, I think that this gives you a better idea of who Tony Stark is as a person than Iron Man 1. And that's his origin movie, right? So I think that this movie does a great job, and I can appreciate that. But yeah, I actually enjoyed this movie a lot. And I had this video idea in the back of my head of making it like, and being like, yeah, it's an underrated movie because I remembered it. But for the next video, I was thinking on doing the Batman, Robert Pattinson's Batman specifically. But now I'm not so sure after watching this movie because there's a third one and I could just finish the trilogy. So, yeah, let me know which one you guys want to see in the comments down below. And I appreciate you guys for watching this video. And make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.